Let me project and start with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edi vedasyama ani stha shrutam me ma prahasi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmam avatu tadvaktaram avatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu bhaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It's kind of interesting because this hymn ends exactly with this, that Vishwamitra asks for the revealing speech to be given or to lead to the goal, the one who is offering and invoking the divine. This revealing speech is actually the whole thing, what is required, because once in the word, in the formation of consciousness, we can articulate the divine presence. That means it is being manifested in the system, if we can articulate it. Yes, articulation itself is manifestation of the divine presence. We went farther in our integral yoga, and we see that not only articulation but also manifestation is very important in terms of physicality, vitality, mentality. But vitality, mentality are articulated through the word. And if the word is really carrying the presence of the Spirit, then the half work is done. So the mentality and vitality will be formed by the word, will be articulated by the Spirit, and the physicality will follow. So we stopped at number 7. I think we read number 7, but I will read through to continue. Divashchit ate Ruchayantaroka usho vibhatir anubhasi purvih apoyad agna ushadhakvaneshu hotuhmandrasya panayanta devah. From heaven itself thy lights blazed forth. Thou shinest in the wake of many outshinings of the dawn, when, O fire, passionately burning in the woods, the gods set the waters to their work for the rapturous priest of the call. It is he who is invoking these devatas, and they set up for us the streams of higher consciousness to reach out and to charge us with their presence. These, the inspirational streams of higher consciousness, the nymphas, the muses, they are pervading our mental and vital consciousness and bring into our system a totally new, fresh stream of consciousness. This is the word. Urav vaye antarikshe madanti divo vaye rochane santi devach Uma va ye, suhava so yajatra. A ye mi re, rathio Agni ashvach. The gods who take their rapture in the wide mid-world, or those who are in the luminous world of heaven, or those lords of sacrifice who are helpful and ready to the call, them thy chariot horses have borne towards us. Those gods that are rejoicing in the vast antariksha, in the vast vital worlds, and those that dwell in the heavenly luminous realms, trirochanas, in the intuitive mind, in the overmind and the supramental overmind, or those lords who are worthy of sacrifice, yajatraha, easily invoked, suhavasach, and helpful, umah. They all brought or extended their swiftness's powers with their chariots loaded with their spiritual goods. This is me adding, because why with chariots, horses? Swiftnesses with chariots. Chariots are added. They bring some substantial presence of the Spirit. It's not only swiftness, it's not only power which is flashing and reaching out, but it brings with itself some load of the presence. All these gods, from the vital world, from the higher overmental realms, or those lords of the sacrifice, they are all here to bring their swiftnesses loaded with presence, substantial presence of the Spirit. Ai bhich Agni saratham yahi arvang nanart ratham va vibhavohi ashvach patnivatach trishatam trichcha devan anushvadham avaha madayasva. Come down to us, with them in one chariot or in many chariots, for thy horses pervade and are everywhere. According to thy self-law, bring here with their wives the gods 33, and give them to drink of the rapture. They are thirsty to drink of this rapture of manifestation of Soma. They are all drawn to this delight, to this immortality in time and space, to this marvelous creation and enjoyment. Interpretation, my interpretation. Come straight to us, O Agni, with these godheads in the same chariot, Saratham, or in many different chariots, for your swiftnesses horses are everywhere. They are moving in every direction. Bring to us 33 godheads with their powerful patnis, and rejoice here at will. I didn't translate patnis with their wives, with their shaktis, with their energies, yes? Bring your 33 godheads with their energies, with their potential or kinetic energies, manifesting energies, not just their kind of beings or selves, but their energies which manifest. Ebhich, with these to us, yahi, yes, this joined ebhich, with these ebhich yahi, come to us, O Agni, Agni, Saratham, in the same chariot, Arvang, down or forward, straight to us. Nanaratham va, or in different rathas, in different chariots. Vibhavohi ashvach, vibhu, your ashvas, your swiftnesses are pervasive and almighty throughout the space. Patni vatach trishatam trichcha devan, and the gods devan trishatam trichcha, 30 and 3, patni vatach, with their patnis, with their wives' energies. Anusvadham, anushvadham, according to your own will, nature. Avaha, bring, madayasva, and rejoice. Or even, not rejoice, it could be also translated, and share with them this joy of manifestation, because it could be translated here, though it is Atmanepadam, but it is causative, and share with them or give them to drink of Soma here. This is the role of Agni. He takes Soma and he gives this to the gods, to the powers, higher powers of consciousness. He feeds them with the offering. He intoxicates them with delight of existence. So that is something which attracts them to this manifestation. This Soma, this unique enjoyment. It's always unique. It's always different, infinitely different Soma. It's not the same taste. The taste is always different. We never taste the same tomato twice, yeah? So it's always a different taste of tomato. Did you notice? We kind of recognize that it is tomato, or don't know why I meant to tomatoes, most probably because they are in our garden. But I noticed that each tomato tastes differently. There is never the same taste. The same taste is impossible. It's an infinite enjoyment of Soma. And they are drawn to this unique enjoyment of manifestation. And then number 10, Sahota yasya rodasi chit urvi yajñam abhivridhe granitach prachi adhvara iva tasthatuh sumeke prachi adhvara iva tasthatuh sumeke ritavari ritajatasya satye. He is the summoner. Oh, sorry, I will read first Sri Aurobindo. He is the priest of the call, for whose growing even wide earth and heaven speak the word at sacrifice on sacrifice. Facing each other, fixed like two ends of pilgrim way, the truth they keep in his truth. Who from the truth was born? The truth they keep in his truth. Who from the truth was born? So there are two ends of this pilgrim way, so the heaven and earth, our spiritual and material consciousness. I mean, between them there is the whole journey of the sacrifice, and Agni acts within this Hiranyagarbha. He is the Samana whom even the two vast luminous firmaments, Rodasi, heaven and earth, greet in voice. Grenitach, abhigrenitach, they greet him or they voice him. I add in voice. interesting with through dash, a new meaning of they voice him inwardly, they express him within themselves, express in consciousness for his growth in every or at every sacrifice, from sacrifice to sacrifice. Yajñam, yajñam, interesting word with one accent, which means it is a compositor, means from sacrifice to sacrifice, from transformation to transformation, they invoice him for this action. Fixed on the path, these two, that moves forward, Prachi, towards the east, towards the rising of the sun. They both stood firm, truthful in the truth of the one who is born of the truth. Interestingly here, Ritavari, Ritajatasya Satye. So Ritavari, they are charged with, they are holders of the dynamic truth, of the one who is born from the dynamic truth. Ritajatasya, it's like he belongs to them, to their expression of the truth. Satye, in the truth which is static, in the truth of that which is, not which becomes, but which is. So this subtlety here, well, this is quite difficult to refer to. There is something which cannot be altered, cannot be changed at the Satya. In that Satya, these two firmaments, heaven and earth, who are possessors, holders, masters of the dynamic truth, the truth in time, in that one vision of the truth which cannot be altered, they support or they express the flame who is born of that dynamism of the truth which is static. It's kind of difficult to formulate totally, but this choice of the words is very important by the Rishi. Ritavari rita jatasya satye. So Satya is something which gives the ground for the Rita to manifest in time. Agni is born of that rhythm, from the rhythm, from that rhythm of the truth in time. And the heaven and earth are also, they are possessors of that rhythm in time of the static truth. And all this is manifested within that which is the truth. And then the last verse, and I will stop here and we can discuss. Ilam Agni Purudansam Sanim Goh Shashvattamam Havamanaya Sadha Syanach Sunu Tanayo Vijava Agnesate Sumatich Bhutu Asme. We met this verse already in the previous hymn. This is a signature of Vishwamitra. We mentioned this before, that the rishis have that signature at the end. Even if it would be totally forgotten who composed this hymn, this last verse will tell us that it is Vishwamitra, because it is his particular way of signing the hymn. And this is the verse which I was referring to at the beginning. O Agni, O fire, achieve at my call the revealing speech, the many-actioned, the lasting conquest of the light. Achieve at my call the revealing speech, the many-actioned, the lasting conquest of the light. May there be for us a son of our begetting, pervading in his birth, or himself a begetter, continuing in generations. O fire, may there be created in us that true thinking of thine. My interpretation. O Agni, realize the word of revelation of many-sided skills and knowledge, eternal conquest of the light, to the one or for the one who is invoking and offering to you. May there be continuation of the sacrifice and offering of Soma in the future generations. I'm totally changing the begetting of the sun, and I will explain why now in a minute. O Agni, may there be your perfect mind in us. Perfect mind is actually, in the Veda, is the supermind, Sumati. This last verse, may there be continuation of the sacrifice and offering of Soma in the future generations. Siat nach, may there be for us or ours, Sunu. Sunu is the son, but Sunu is from root Su, to press out the delight, the Soma. Soma is from root Su, the birth. The birth is nothing but pressing out the delight which is hidden, which is transcendental. It has to come into manifestation. Revealing it, manifesting it, the delight, is actually pressing it. And that's why to bring to birth is also the same root Su. Su is to bring to birth, Su from which Soma is produced, and Sunu is the son, the one who is manifested. So that's why continuation of the sacrifice manifesting the delight, the transcendental delight, tanayach, from root tan, to spread in time. And it is translated usually as generations or our progeny of the progeny, so to say, our grandchildren. But grandchildren, again, it's an extension for the future generations in time. So that's why the choice of my translation was different. And also Vijava, interesting word, is born out, so to say, carrying forward the birth. So may there be continuation of the sacrifice and offering of Soma, that delight which is offered forward through the generations being born in the future generations, through our progeny. O Agni, may there be your perfect mind in us. All right, this is the hymn. We came to the end. I just thought we will go through the hymn first because it's important to have that oneness of the text. And then we can jump in wherever we want with our thoughts. Yeah? Some thoughts, ideas? No?
Vladimir, could you please explain in verse 9 the gods 30 and 3?
Well, this is the sacred number, yes, which is used usually for mentioning the gods. After that, in Puranas, we meet 33, and then we 33 million gods, and so on. Yeah? But 33, for some reason, 30 and 3, always. 3 times 10, and then 3 major, which generate transcendental this world, and in between holding them as a supermind. Most probably that is the 3. 3 is everywhere. Satchit Ananda is 3, yes. the three worlds, transcendental, this world, and in between holding them, two, three. Mind, life and body, three. Heaven and earth and space in between, three. Father, mother and son, three. All the time, three. Yes? We have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that Holy Spirit is the Mother, which is holding them both. Yes, Yahweh, the sacred name of the Lord, who has three: the Son, the Father, and the Yod. He is the Mother. So it's always three. Trimurti, Trinity, yes, absolutely. Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahman. We have Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahman. Is very interesting because Shiva is the one who holds on his shoulders the whole nature. Vishnu, who is leaping out with the Indra down, uninvolved light, which gets involved to make corrections on the way. All the boons of Shiva which were given. He has to correct, to remove Ravanas and so on. And there is Brahman. Brahman is the light from the heart, which is rising as the word. So we have the mind, the heart, and the body, or the will in the body. Later we have it in the Karma Yoga, the body, the will, Jnana Yoga, the yoga of the mind, and Bhakti Yoga of the heart. This Trinity is everywhere. These are three. But why 30? Because the 10 is the number of manifesting in the mind, and most probably in the vital and physical. 10, 10, 10. We have 10 sephiroths, yes, 10 fingers, if you will. 10 sephiroths are 10 major points of manifesting the crown, the spirit, into the kingdom of on earth, the tree of life, or the tree of knowledge, in the Kabbalistic tradition. 7 is an interesting number. It's another story. It is 10, actually, 7. If you analyze it Kabbalistically, you will see that 7 is an amazing number, because 7 is 1, in the third family. So we have 1, 2, 3 first family, then 4, 5, 6 second family, and 7, 8, 9 the third family. But in the third family of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is 3 times 3, 9. It's amazing how it is arranged. And we have only 2 rhythms possible. It is 1, 2, 1, 2. And we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 waltz. There are no more rhythms. Those musicians who are musicians, they know. These are only these 2 rhythms are modified. Yes, either we divide in half or we divide in 3. That's it. It's kind of interesting. And there are many varieties of rhythms, but they are modifications of these 2 rhythms. 1, 2. Or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And 3 is interesting because it is opening up to the possibilities of the 1, 2, of the one, which is looking at itself and knowing itself as bliss, 3. And that 3 is the bliss of knowing oneself. This is the family. And this family repeats itself again and again and again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We are waltzing through the world. This is the 3. And of course, 30 is 10. Sri Aurobindo speaks about these 10. 10 sisters, 10 wives, 10 fingers who kindle the fire. 10 mental luminous principles which manifest the whole being. the Dashagva rishis, 10 rishis, or rishis of 10 rays. And what are these 10 rays? Yeah, it's a fullness in manifestation. They were Navagva rishis of 9 rays, and then they break to one more, and they start a new circle. They fulfill the whole thing with a 10th. 10 is the beginning of a new 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 times 3. Yes. 10 is 1, 0. 0 is just showing that it's another movement of the same. Actually, numbers cannot kind of mislead us very much. Yeah? It's a mental formulation of the truth. So if we look into the numbers and study numbers, we will find amazing truth. I was preoccupied with this half of my life, with these numbers. Was wondering about them because most probably I shared this with you not once, because it's my topic of numbers. I was wondering about number 1 because number 2 is quite clear. It's two ones, yes? So 2 is clear. 3 is clear. Everything is clear mathematically, arithmetically. But what is 1? 1 is not clear. Not at all. What is 1 then? How can you define 1? And I asked the professor of mathematics, can you help me with number 1? Define 1. He said, you are asking the most difficult question. Because 1 is the only number which cannot be defined. The 1 is the number which you choose at will. Whoa. Number 1, we choose at will. Once we choose 1, we know what is 2, 3, and so on. But 1 is up to you. What is 1 for you? That will be 2 for you, and 3, and so on. It's your measurement. And then later, when I was kind of pondering, because I wanted to express it in arithmetical kind of figures, I discovered that number 1 is the biggest number. And it is absolutely true. It is 0.9 into the eternity. 9 which is running all the time, which you cannot stop. Yeah? And if you come to the end, there is no end, but you come to the end of that 9, 0.9 into eternity. Then you add 1 there, then 9 will pop up before the comma. But since there is no end to that running 9, so you can draw from 1 any number. That's why it is at will, chosen at will. You can draw any number from that 1 and it will never be exhausted. I actually arrived at it arithmetically. If you divide 1 by 9, you will have 0, 1 into eternity. Yeah? 1 divided by 9, you will have 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, if you plus 1 divided by 9 9 times, you will have 9 nines, you will have 1. Yeah? Now plus 0, 1, 1, 1, 1 plus 0, 1, 1, 1, 1 plus 0, 1, 1, 9 times, and you will have 0, 9, 9, 9, 9 running into eternity. So it is not something in my mind. It is really in the numbers. It's an infinite number, the highest, the biggest possible. Number 1.
Vladimir, I was just thinking, musing as you were saying this, could you say that number 1 is synonymous with I? And it's like, I can be this, I am that, I am such and such. That gives quality to it, but you have to have I in order to do anything.
You have to have
So
a
one is,
subject, absolutely. Not necessarily I. It can be any nominative case. We are coming to linguistics. Yeah, nominative case is that case, one, which is chosen at will. It is the nominative that we choose at will. Accusative, any other case in the syntax, in the sentence, in the text, depends on the nominative. If I say a tree is, yeah, is that equals, tree equals is beautiful, or is dying, or is burning, or is something, yeah, then it equals to, this tree can be anything, any other adjective or any other verb we can add to it, any other name we can add to it. It's like you said, I can be anyone. I am a student, I am a father, I am a son, I am a friend, and so on. So I am anything. I identify myself with anything, and this I is chosen at will. I can say you are and, identify you with anything. You, I choose at will. The rest follows. The rest is not at will. The rest depends on you already. So all other numbers, all other relations depend on the nominative. We looked into it in our Sanskrit studies, no? This is the biggest discovery of karakas, of the relations of the cases. So the same here in mathematics, the same here is 1, 2, 3. It's very interesting that in linguistics we have karta, karma, karanam. First three karakas are with root kri. Karta is the doer, and Panini defines the doer as svatantra karta, yeah, as independent. So the nominative case is independent, chosen at will. Karma is something which depends on karta, because karta has to choose what to do. It has a name. The doer has somewhere to go. For example, I'm going home. Home is karma. Yes. Home is my aim. And I'm going home by bus. How I do it, or slowly, it is in what manner I reached my aim is karana. So these first is 1, 2, 3. They are interdependent. That's me going home by bus. All other cases fall out. Yeah? It's another family. I go home by bus for dinner. Dative case. It's already separate from the first family. You could feel it. Yeah. And then because of what? Because somebody called me, or or because the day is over, or because I decided so in the past, and this is the cause, ablative case. And relation and location is another. Location is the seventh case, basically. So if you look at this, you will see that all the cases are, the first ones are the most important. This is the first family. 1 + 2 = 3. And it is an amazing family because it is actually absolutely perfect. 1 + 2 = 3. Yeah? Because 2 + 3 does not equal 4. It's not a perfect combination. But only 1 + 2 = 3. The order and the quality and quantity match totally in the first family. If you start analyzing numbers, you will see that this is the language to really engage with more and more for the philosophical, linguistic, musical, and so on. It's something which Kabbalistic tradition did quite well. They developed the whole science of this, science of the mind through numbers. Indian tradition didn't do it much. They have their own, but not to that extent.
Vladimir, if I just rephrase what is there in my mind. So, if we take away the concept of number one, the idea of one, if we take it away from numbers, then the entire number system fails. No matter whether it is in Roman numerals or whether it's in English digits or whatever.
Yeah.
Even with zero, it doesn't fail all that much because the Romans could do without zero. But without one, without an appreciation of what one really means, there is nothing called numbers.
Yeah.
There cannot be. Is that what you're really saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Because all the numbers are coming from number one. They are not coming from any number. Zero also comes from number one. This is an interesting discussion, and we can look into it because people believe that zero is more important than one. By the way, I define something very interesting in my life. I see that there are two types of people. There are some who believe that zero is the original number, and others who believe that one is the original number, from which everything starts. And I see a fundamental difference in perception of life between these two types. And it is unbridgeable, actually. It is something which there are people who believe in nirvana, in nothingness, as the beginning of somethingness. Yeah. And there are those who do not believe that nothingness can be the beginning. They kind of sense that there must be something there, because how else it could, from nothing, nothing comes. Yeah? And no, some people believe from nothing, everything comes. So I would be interested to know for you, what do you think? It's immediate. It's something you don't need to think. You just believe in it.
Number one.
Number
One.
One.
Well, after my presentation.
No, I believe in zero. The one I choose only as a matter of convenience. I believe in zero.
Interesting. Very interesting. One, people believe that the noun is the first, the name, and zero people believe that the verb is the first, the action. Interesting. It's something very fundamental. You cannot really change it very easily. You may say whatever you want to say, but inwardly there is some kind of belief that zero is. And many people criticized Pythagoras that he started his treatise with one and not with zero, especially later, in the later tradition. But I believe that Pythagoras absolutely right, saying one. You know, his treatise has 3 sentences. One is one, first sentence. Fundamental sentence. One is one. 2 is 3. 3 is 6. This is it. If you think of it, you will find the answer why 2 is 3. Why 2 is 3?
Because it builds on what was before?
Right. When you have 2, then you have 1 already, and then you have 3 immediately. You can't avoid it. And why 3 is 6?
Same thing.
Same thing, absolutely. This is Kabbalistic approach. So once you presume something before, then it is counted in. So it generates new number. So this is it. But there is only one number which is identical to itself. It is 1. There is no other number. 2 is 3, 3 is 6, 4 is 10, 5 is 16, and so on and so on and so forth. There is no equal number to itself, identical to itself, only 1. Even 0 is not equal to 0. 0 is equal to nothing. There is no 0. 0 is not the number actually. Zero tells us that there is only one, that there is nothing but the one. That's what zero is about. That's why we have 0,9 into the eternity. That zero before comma is real zero. It's a potential of manifesting any number of numbers from the one. So this is
but it has to have another number for it to be meaningful.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it depends on one. It tells us that there is only one and nothing else. Zero tells us there is nothing else but one. And that's why it is zero. It is zero. Metaphysics of mathematics.
Yeah, Vladimir, symbolically, we draw a circle, and I think in most languages we do, correct me if I'm wrong, for zero or donate the notation for nothingness. But, and Robin here is into astrology, so he knows the solar system and everything is like an oval revolution of planets and stuff going on. It feels to me there is a lot of zero everywhere. And I don't know, it's just coming to me. So I guess I respect zero more than a lot of
You're
things.
also zero. So we have 2 zero people.
Oh, I don't know your question. So you were asking whom do we respect, 1 or 0? Was that the question? Or
no, respect. We respect, yes. I mean, believe what is at the beginning. Beginning is what? The very beginning of all beginnings. There are 2 different formations, and they are both in the scriptures. Yes, at the beginning was, nothing was at the beginning. Yes, nasadiya suktam. Yeah, nasad asit, nosad asit, tadanim. It's very interesting. There was no sat, no asat then. This is literal translation. There was no sat, there was no being, no non-being then. This is just open end. Yeah? So, but something was there which was brooding and over the water. Something was there. And that something is that potential one which is not manifested. That's why zero is everywhere in manifestation, but it is pregnant with fullness.
yeah. It's also the division between the negative integers and the positive integers, the complex numbers, the square root of -1. The idea can come to us, I believe, with a partition. And for me, that is zero. I mean, for not just me, but yeah. And it's interesting, Vladimir, we are talking this way. I recently purchased a book called Mathematics for Human Flourishing. I didn't know today I'll be taken on a journey which is so close to my heart, but I've not paid attention. An arithmetic meditation today, very powerful. So thank you.
No, in my case, it's little different. So I started studying Buddhism and all that Shunyata stuff. And I decided in my mind that this stuff is true, but if I adopt this, I'll go mad. So I decided to adopt one as my standard. I mean, I wouldn't like to risk going to zero, but I know there is a zero. So I took the Vedantic approach rather than the Buddhist approach because Vedantic is more substantial and it's at least a ladder to climb upon instead of 0, 0, 0 everywhere. That's why.
Kinshuk, with great love and respect, even half of 1 is 0.5, so you have a 0.
Even 1, you will have 0, 9 into the eternity, into the infinity. So you cannot avoid 0. 0 is everywhere underlining the number as separate. Yeah? It's something telling us that there is someone, something, and nothing else. There is a border, as it were. That's why the circle, it's a border of some reality. which is basically, if you find a quotation of Sri Aurobindo, which was really a surprise for me, he says about Asat, he says, there is no Asat. Whoa, Sri Aurobindo says, there is no non-being. Non-being is a concept for our mind. There is only being everywhere. It's a being in that form where we cannot really perceive it or have access to it, and that's what we call non-being. Yeah? But truly speaking, how non-being can be? Yeah? If something is, then if it is non-being, that it is not. Yeah? So it is not means that someone is. You can't avoid it, neither linguistically, nor philosophically, nor psychologically. It doesn't work that way. It's just in the mind, number zero. It's such a mysterious number, zero. It's not number. Zero is not a number. That's why we cannot divide on zero. You cannot divide or multiply on zero. You cannot do it because it won't work. It's prohibited, by the way. Prohibited by mathematics. Why? I never could understand why they prohibit this. Maybe you can, Shobik, explain why they prohibit.
Prohibit what? Exactly.
Operations with zero, multiplication and division on zero.
I mean, because it's too hard. Division by zero gives, I don't know, indivisible, or they will say infinity, which is also not true, because, in calculus, limit tends to zero, then you can have limit tends to infinity in the answer, when the denominator as the variable tends to zero. But calculus in itself is, to me, it's life, because everything either is tending to infinity or tending to zero, and maybe there are no absolutes besides, as Sri Aurobindo says, Brahman. Now, Vladimir explaining to Shobik with Robin and Kinshuk interjecting over a Zoom on the optical fiber under Pacific Ocean. So Sri Aurobindo would say, Sri Aurobindo would beautifully say, and in a humorous way, and if he were with us, that it's Brahman explaining to Brahman with two Brahmans interjecting over the Brahman flowing under Brahman. So it's all Brahman. And
yeah, Brahman is zero, actually. Brahman is something which contains all numbers. This is the container. Zero is a container. If we take it as a container, not as a number, then it's clear why we cannot multiply or divide on zero. It's not permitted. That's why.
I like this concept. Sorry, I like this concept of zero being just a boundary between the two things, because even in binary numbers, when you say 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, whatever, there's an unstated boundary between the numbers, which nobody really thinks of. And what you said just made me think that without this boundary, that long string of zeros and ones actually wouldn't make sense. So what we are calling zero in binary digits is just a measure of a low level, but between the low and the high, there is something that is separating these two. And this may be what is present all over the universe, because it separates something from another thing. Some boundary it gives.
If we bring this thought to the beginning of all thinking, that there is only one and zero, and that is how they operate now in computers. 1 and 0, that's it. It's quite interesting that there is only 1 and 0. There is only one and potential one to manifest. And that potentiality is 0, which can be filled with any number from the one depth, from the depth of the one. It can manifest. It is that Samam Brahma into which the Supreme casts the seed, and from which all creatures come into being. It's a container. It's a yoni. Samam Brahma is my yoni. Yoni is a container. Container contains different numbers, different unique manifestations, yes, makes them one. Yeah, this is one, that is one, that is one. It always operates with this idea of one as it is. And this is where zero operates. It constantly operates. And if we start from the beginning, that zero is actually the one who perceives himself as one, consciousness. Yeah? It is zero becomes the Shakti, the consciousness, the perception of oneself, and that becomes an emanation of delight of knowing oneself, and that delight is the foundation of all manifestation. So it comes from that interaction of one with himself through zero as potential manifestation, as a potential extension in time and space. So it's totally legitimate to think in that way, one and zero. But one is still there. You remember we saw this mother's beautiful kind of picture from, I was showing you Huda's picture of levels of consciousness towards the Supreme. You remember that on the top there was Sat, then Asat, yeah? And then there was a Supreme beyond. That is the one. Asat is just potential of him manifesting himself in terms of Satchitananda and the whole worlds. But the Supreme, the Purushottama, is beyond the transcendental and this world, beyond both. Without him, this self could not come into existence. Individual self would not be able to be born. We would not be individuals if he, the one, Supreme, would not be there.
That
Well,
that
there
first that first that first phrase of Aurobindo Upanishad says it all actually, and that one single verse is enough to capture this whole discussion. If you see that, I just
Which
wanted to
verse?
put this up. The very first verse of Aurobindo Upanishad, the first one you taught us.
Of Shri Aurobindo Upanishad? I don't remember.
I
What
don't
was it?
remember the verse.
Oh, okay. I also
It was exactly whatever we are discussing right now.
Yeah, well, the whole Sri Aurobindo Upanishad is about that manifestation of delight, yes, and how it came from Brahman. Brahman was the projection of the self, yes, absolutely. It is a vision of Sri Aurobindo. That's why we are putting one and zero into the play. And Pythagoras was right. He started with one. He didn't even mention zero. Yeah. For him, zero is implied. In one is one, zero is implied. One equals one. One is identical with one because of zero. If zero would not be there, one would not be identical with one. It is as simple as that. Zero
Isn't
is...
Isn't that what's implied in Buddhism? That they don't talk about the divine, but it's implied.
Yeah, I think so. It is implied in that shunya. That shunya is not shunya at all. It's full of light and consciousness and bliss. And
the whole idea of non-being is not possible.
Yes, absolutely not possible. That's what Sri Aurobindo says. That was a revelation for me. There is no asata. So we can find the quotation to be totally correct, what he says, but it is true if you think of it, how it can be. Yeah, it can be only on the ground of someone who is. Yeah? Otherwise, how would you say not? To say not, to deny, you need to have someone to deny.
I see it,
Okay.
the 0 and the 1 as analogous to darkness and light, 1 being the white light that contains all the colors, and that 0 is the lack of light and the potential for any light to come in.
Nice. I like it, yes, in terms
Beautiful.
of color. Yeah. It's the same kind of 0 is the one which is potentially manifested, but not yet, and that's why it's dark. If you mix all the colors, you will have black. Yeah? That's how it is in a non-manifested world. Or you will have light, white light, either white light or dark. If colors you mix, you will get black. If you mix light, you will have white light. Yeah? Put all the beams of light, all the photons together.
Yeah,
Or
I want
split
to
light.
add. Yeah, I want to add, to even see white, you need the black. And the universe, the cosmos, was like 13 billion years or more probably, and all in darkness. So if there is a color of the divine, it is black. It's the ultimate color to me. So yeah, even the concept of a black hole, it contains everything, but it's almost like we are afraid to get there. It's so dense, it's so dark and deep, but that's where everything is. Yeah, there are many ways to go into it, many ways to look at it, but I think the mind creates conceptions around these things we want to be.
According to the mother, that consciousness in light, which fell into its opposite, that which became asura of darkness, yes, of unconsciousness, is he gradually forgot his origin. So when light forgets its origin, its supreme origin of the one, it turns gradually into this darkness. So darkness is nothing but light, which forgot its supreme origin. So it's light.
Yeah, it's Satyavan which is not ascended. Savitri trying to pull him back.
Well, it is around Satyavan which holds him back and wants him not to ascend. Yes, she comes to break that barrier, that 0, and to make a connection. Great.
One more
thoughts?
idea that, yeah. It was occurring to me while we were talking that a planet is actually a 3-dimensional 0. And this is, all of the planets in our solar system and most likely elsewhere. It's a 0. If you rotate a 0 around 3-dimensionally, you get a planet, a sphere. And that is that's the container for life.
Can you repeat that, Robin? My brain got whacked. Yeah.
A planet, like we were talking about earlier about astrology and the planets, you brought it up. That made me think that a planet is actually a 0. If the equator or whichever axis you want to go on, if you rotate it around an infinite number of times, you end up with a planet.
No. You have to have something. You can't get out of nothing, not something. This is a kind of puzzling thing, but interestingly that you brought rotation and the round. Why it is round? Why the sun is round, the earth is roundish? Why it is roundish? This is interesting. Because there is a center. And you have to be equal to the center in the equal sense of the being, and at the same time separate from the rest. So how would you create that? Separateness and oneness, and that is the sphere, basically. There's no other way to do it.
The coming together of matter in a center, and call it the Isaac Newton gravitation, but
gravitational. If you put people on Earth, on the surface of Earth, they will be all equally close to the center, interestingly. Yeah? So from wherever they are, of course, in Himalayas, you will be a little farther away than somewhere in the ocean. But still, this idea of sphere, separate being one, yeah, full of itself, so to say, and still separate, is the only perfect kind of manifestation, sphere. Because otherwise, if you have shape, forms, it is not the same. Yeah, you are already. But everything most probably falls into sphere as that zero, because zero is the perfect form of one, which holds one in its container. So it's a container of oneness. That's why planets and all these stars are roundish. Yeah. Because they have the center, they have the being, and they have to be separate. And they reach out with their rays to the cosmos. They pervade the cosmos in oneness, and through that space, and that space is the container which holds the one with light. Yeah, no.
Mm.
And most probably
So
our
again,
universe is also a bubble in a way.
yeah.
And
So it's a
till
one
we
and
get,
a zero.
yeah, well, till we get into multiverses and parallel realities, then more
Probably.
universe.
Even there will be something.
Help.
Yeah, but
I have to
Vladimir,
run.
before we drop, I want to share. So Kinshuk, if you have a masala dosa longitudinal, looks like one, you open it up, it becomes zero. So go have a dosa, and I think you'll be fine. Yeah.
Masala dosa. All right. Okay, I'll close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavanto Sukhinah Sarve Santo Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.